AI, let it like a book cover and things like that, and Canva. I was using Canva, but there were some things that I didn't know about Canva, so I reached out to her. So, and then she reached out to me for some things, and I showed her. So it's about connecting. Never get to the point where you feel like you just know everything and you can't learn from anybody. Just make that connection. It's about networking because you never know. One day, someone may have an event, you come, and then that person in the audience could be blessed by you. You may not always be blessed by me. You may need to hear it a different way. You may need to hear it from someone else. So that's why we connect. That's why we come together. And that's why we're here on today. All right. The next question is for everyone. Do you write and create for yourself, or do you keep your audience in mind? Now, I did hear someone say, I did it for myself. I was trying to encourage myself, and I needed to heal myself. So I basically did it for me, and in hopes that someone else could be healed as well. So do you keep your audience in mind, or do you write or create for yourself before and when you're writing? And how or why is that important? And we're going to go backwards.
That's a big question. I guess when I start writing something, whether it's a book, whether it's a script, whatever it is, I do start for myself. Like, this is something that, like, recently I wrote a short film that I'm hoping to produce. We're pre-production right now, and it was about my relationship with my dad. It's not real good. It's kind of tough. My dad and I just weren't close growing up, and I had to go through this process of being angry with him and then talking to God and being like, why? What's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with him? And coming to the conclusion that God wanted me to forgive, and that God wanted me to be the kind of son that maybe he doesn't deserve, or be so that I could receive from him whatever he has to give and not judge him. Well, that's my personal story, so that's what went on the page. But then when I start the editing process, when I start to really hone it in, I'm like, wonder what somebody else might be going through, and you hear a story from you or you about their dad, and how, and it all can be this tapestry at that point. But I feel like when I start, it's for me. And then when I start to land that plane, it starts going a little wider and maybe reaching out to the audience, if that makes sense.
I agree, because when I start for me, but also what makes me start is just being around those who are going through something or relatable to me. So I would definitely say when I start, it's for my audience too. And then once I start to help them, they begin to talk. I'm like, you know what, you got a book, right? I'm like, boy, down here, come on, let me help you. So after helping them, then they go out and tell the next person. They might have a friend that's not around me, so they can help them too to start. So it starts with the you thing, but ends with the us thing.
I would definitely say, with my first book, it was just, I felt like a lot of people didn't understand me as a person and, the calling that God had in my life. So I felt like my first book was kind of like to help people get familiar with who I was and where I was trying to go with things in life. And then after that, networking, getting out there around people. I like to do a lot of things in the community. So knowing that working in the school system with my nonprofit organization, I know that in our county the literacy rates are kind of low. And so creating a book for the girls that I was working with so we could spend some time together reading, I felt like that was helping the literacy part, and then it also helped us relate to the organization itself. And so that's when I kind of discovered that I can write for other people, because I kind of cut myself short, like I can't write for nobody else. And so after doing my few publications that I had, I'm actually now working to help another kid write her first little book. And I'm excited about it because I always remind myself at the end of the day, the gift always So we gonna choose if we gonna walk in it, or we just gonna lay it down and not use it. If don't come at the hunchies, we don't use it. And so, even aside from that, you have to think of it like this. You won't always go everywhere in the world, but if you put your story out there in your book, you don't ever know where it's gonna end up. I've been working for that because I didn't think my first book was gonna sell like that, but one organization here about 50 books to give to 50 mothers, and that meant a lot to me because that's my story being put in the hands of 50 different individuals. Whether they read it or not, I don't know, but I truly believe that, if it touches one person, when God's word say that, when one or two gather together, we gonna be in the midst, so I'm just grateful for that.
Alright, so for the readers, how many of you actually pick up physical books? How many, oh, glory. How many of y'all are like ebook readers, y'all? Oh, God bless you too. So that's the first question. The second question is, do y'all read more like self-help or y'all novel, like y'all, novel books? Y'all want tea. See what I just did there? I wrapped it up in humanity. And so as a writer, I think the first part always starts with our story. We are human. And so when I'm publishing other authors, I will get their manuscript and I'm just like, girl, how? And one of the most things that I noticed lately when people are liking to get things out, they also trauma dump, right? So when I first part of writing a book is yes, getting it out. But then the second part is what am I trying to evoke from that person? Am I trying to put that person in a state of mind that they've now sunken back into their trauma, or am I trying to free them? Am I trying to show them that, hey, because of boom, 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 you can be free too. And whether that's in a story with the T, or whether that's in a self-help, or whether so when I'm writing the book, the first thing I want to do is get it out. What happened? Who was involved? What was that pain point? What was the climax? And then what was the ending? And what is the inspiration? And then after that, I begin to consider my audiences. When they read this, where are they in life? Because at some point you have to realize why you picked up the book. When I picked up the back of your book, I read the flow. It was like, this girl, small town. I'm sorry, I believe it was, in a small world, small town. And then you have, so it gave a first synopsis of who you were. We automatically connected with you. And then next it was, these are the things that happened. And this is how I got out of it. And as an author, that's what we want to look for when we are considering our audience. Not just trauma dumping on them, but how can we get them through that moment?
I agree with that, and just to interject, and even when you're writing, remember the who, what, when, where, and why. So that's what I heard, that's one of the things that I heard you say when you're trying to write, because the audience need to know that. You need to know who, what, when, where, and why. And then you definitely will captivate your audience with that as well.
Like I said, my first two books of poetry, it was, what you call it, trauma dump. Because most of the poetry, most of the poetry is about things that happen inside the facility or in my life in general, growing up, and everything. So it was mostly about me. The book Becoming Me is more about those people that experience life, because we all experience some of the same thing, and it's, we've already been defined, we've already been understood. If it's in our head to do it, we can do it, and you don't let nobody tell you that you can't. The most powerful person you'll ever meet in your life is yourself, because you're responsible for your choices, you're responsible for what you do. Now there's some psychological and social influence and factors that fall into play that make us choose, but we ultimately choose. And I think that's the biggest piece for Becoming Me. The weekend work week. When I retired, I had a emotions about things. So I signed them scripture for 52 weeks, doing Monday through Friday. And at the end of that, October, I think it was, because I started writing it in November, sending it out in November, I put it all in a book and I published it. And it's a weekend reflection on it, and basically it's scripture, it's a scripture and an interpretation, and it makes you reflect on your day and your week, and how can I improve myself from what I've done throughout that week. You know, because we don't have frustrating moments, we don't have moments when, you know, life don't go right, you know, and I think that's the peace that surpasses all understanding. You know, when we're in those moments, that's the difference between a believer and an unbeliever. Is that when that trouble comes, we know what sustains us. So, I mean, the children book, I was sitting down, the young lady was talking to a child, like, I mean, she was like actually cursing at that child. I was like, oh, the father was there. So, I wrote the book, not, you know, I said for 3 to 7, 3 to 10-year-old, but it's for parents to read to their kids, to empower them, because there's nothing more empowering than a parent telling a child that you can do anything in this world if you don't quit. You know, if you never quit, you never fail, you grow and you learn. So it's them reading it to them when the kid can read it for themselves. It empowers them to know that no matter what life is, what's going on in life, if I never quit, I learn and grow from it. So it's when I start reaching out to a more audience.
Very good, thank you. All right, excuse me. We're gonna give the panelists a chance to wet their throats. So, at this time, we're going to have the audience ask questions. So, would someone like to, you gonna do it for me, Colin? If you have a question, my husband Benji knows, let's give him a hand. He's been so great. So helpful, I'm so grateful. If you have a question at this time, or if you are an author and you would like to share, if you're a writer, if you have we'll start with the questions. If you have a question for one of our guest panelists, you would raise your hand and we will bring the microphone to you.
Hello. Mr. Lance spoke on this, but how can I know I'm accurately describing or displaying my thoughts for the audience? Basically transitioning from writing for myself and being able to interpret that to an audience.
I think it's more about identifying your audience. Like you said, even with his producing piece, it's what's in that area. You know, what resources are available and who am I reaching out to? And is my audience in that neck of the woods or in that area for what I'm putting out? It's understanding what you want to put out and believing that who meant to read it will read it. It's 300 million people in the United States. That's off the top of my head. And all you need to reach is a couple 100,000. And if you're doing it for sale, all you need to reach is one if you're doing it to empower someone else to do it.
I have a program called author development, right? And so during that process, especially if you're writing for an audience, a specific audience, study the audience. And if I'm helping with the process, one of the things I do is I actually look at where they hang out at. You know, that it's amazing. Like if part of your book was around a specific hospital, I would go to that hospital. What's the smell sitting in a room? Is it sterile? I have a young lady who went through abortion. She talked about it, but when I went into developing that story, she was sitting in a sterile room. Lights were really, really bright, brighter than she wanted it to be because she felt seen. That process, what was the sound of the machine? So her book is for those who have gone through. So part of that is, if that's my audience, I need to tap into the emotion of what they experience so I can connect with them. Once you connect with them, you got it.
I have a question. How do you know if your book is complete? Like, what do you know? How do you know where to stop it?
All right. I'm sure somebody will have a different opinion on it, but I've heard it said that I speak in the language of film, but I also, wrote a book as well. But good books and good films are never complete. They get released, they do not get completed. So you get to a point where you're like, I gotta land this plane. I gotta finish this sucker. Sometimes it's because of a deadline. You gotta get it done and somebody's pushing you to get it done. But sometimes it's because somebody lit a fire under you. But the bottom line is, it's never complete. You will never be 100% happy with it. So what? Make it. It's worth it. Like, get to the end goal, man, no matter what. Like, you really inspired me with that. Like, don't stop. That's it. So when it's complete, it's not when you're the happiest with it. It's when you feel in your spirit, it's time. Let's let it go. We're done. So yeah,
And I agree because I've been stuck on Beautifully Becoming Her since 2015 to be exact, and it's still going to this day, like even from a book to a journal to a picture to a painting to a, like everything, it just keep going. So hopefully one day I'll stop, but all of them are going to be combined together, but I'll still keep going.
I would say for myself, like my first book of Beauty in the Shadows, so the shadows were about the darkest moments of my life, where I'm only 38, about to be 39, and I'm afraid that I still have a way to go. So it's gonna be more shadows. So you just gonna keep going. You're right.
For me, I think about, it's weird, some people have to start writing a book from the end. I don't know if y'all have heard about that before. When you write down, this is the intent of my book, once you have arrived to that, for that book, but if you want to start at the end, what is the last thing you want to see a person get? What's that cliffhanger? Start with that.
And that's why a lot of people have sequels. Like the sequel to a movie, sequel to a book, volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. And it just keeps going on. You have a part 2, a part 3, because you thought of something else when you publish your book, and then you go back and you read it. You're gonna always see something that you could have added, and then you do a part 2. You write another book of some sort, or you start some other things. Like I went from writing and journaling to producing or becoming an author, and then I said, what would be an even better extension of me being an author or a writer than to have a writer's conference? Because now I want to share and help others. So my part 2 and my part 3 is like in a different form, but we do, we add to it. Like she added to by painting, and different things like that. So even though it seems like you're at a landing spot, don't cut your engine off. Because you're gonna get back up and you're gonna keep going. That's a question. Okay.
I wanted to add something, so I want to share this with y'all so much. She helped me publish my first book, and we got to the end of it. So when I got to the end, she kept asking me this question like, is this the end of it? And she kept asking me that. I'm like, what more she want? What you first want? So now I understand that, like, I've been writing it since, so it's an ongoing process.
For new authors, how do you go about building an audience if you're unknown, and do you all feel that email list is essential?
What's the last question?
Do you feel that an email list for readers is essential for building an audience?
Okay, so the first question was, as a new author, how do you build an audience?
Yes.
Let me ask you this, are you big into social media?
I just really got into social media.
Alright, so I'm gonna tell you a hack. Storytelling. How many of y'all told a story and captivated a person, like part 1, part 2, maybe 30 parts in. But there was an author that I follow, and she actually had a character in her book named Asha. I say, girl, what my words? But it's another story. But her verse, she created these characters, and it was just a picture of a character using AI, and she was like, meet such and such, and she gave this spiel, and she was like, will she find love? Then you got people liking it, then you got people, so it built an audience around this one character, and then she introduced, and it's like she did this for 30 days, and then boom, she dropped a book, and it was like, that's genius, like, why did I think of that? But she was a new author. So that's one way if you're wanting to do it on social media or, in the e-world. As far as for emails, me personally, check my emails. But it is a good idea to collect emails person to person. So when you're talking to someone, my follow-up game is once I meet you, I try to greet you again in about 2 to 3 days after that. Hey, remember me? You might be interested in this, post the link. So if you're gonna build it that way, make sure it's like face to face, like so they remember you.
Okay, thank you.
I would say, definitely put yourself in spaces like with other authors, like on Facebook, they have different Facebook groups for authors you can get into. That was one of the things I had to do as well as with TikTok, being creative, coming up with little things to share, short clips so it don't lose their attention. And, showing up to events and just getting to connect with people, like, it can be hard, you gotta step outside of your boundaries and put yourself out there. So that's definitely what has helped me, because Moultrie only so big, but I truly believe that if you can touch one person, then they gonna tell somebody else about it if it wasn't for them.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Miss Asha, like Tasha was at the team.
Yes. Okay, she said something about trauma dumping, but then somebody else came back and they were saying something like in between. Like, beginning to end, but they were saying different things. What was that? You know what I'm trying to say?
You said trauma?
She was saying trauma dumping, but then somebody else came behind her and saying something like in between. Something like the beginning and the end and all that, but y'all saying different scenarios. Yes.
Right with us on rely on the Holy Spirit. I did talk about trauma dumping, like say for example, if you are writing a book and you're trying to reach your audience, right? So when you're talking from yourself, yes, at that point it's okay, dump it all out, sling that thing out there, like just write it all out. But then when you get to talking to your audience, you have to have a different kind of aspect of what you're trying to get them to get from your testimony. So another thing I do is I do these classes about how to tell your testimony. Because I sat, real briefly, I sat in a testimony service one time, and I was like, ooh, and it was like about 20 minutes, and then she's like, but God, and I was like, what would he do? And I was like, I don't know over there. I was just, and then my sorry, y'all, I'm so animated. But yeah, you ever sat there and you're like, Jesus. But at that point, I began to think about the audience of the unbeliever. Do I want the unbeliever to be like, well, if that's what it's going to take for me to believe, miss me on it? Or do I want that unbeliever to believe about the God I serve so that they can ask, tell me about the God you serve? Look at her face, she's like, or do I want to be like, I'm good on that, So that's what I mean when I say about trauma dumping. In the beginning, yes, write it all out, be raw, and then when you think about your audience, where's the healing point I want to, because a lot of things that, they came up with this thing called pain points. And that's literally what it is, it's a connection tool. She said something about iron infusions. Literally, I've just gone through something about that, but it was because she said it, I was like, oh, we friends, because I can talk to you now about some stuff. You understand what it's like to be sleepy and you had full rest, so that's what I mean. Get it all out, but when you streamline it to your audience, where do you want to get them to?
To have a point. You didn't have a point to your writing?
Yes.
I would say that I'm in a difficult situation. You guys kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you put yourself out there? So I'm a published author, but my safe space is writing. That's where I feel most comfortable. So that comes easy, but it's the getting it out there and putting myself in places where I get uncomfortable. Because speaking is not what I do well. Everything I do is via writing. That's my communication style. So how do you guys get past the nervousness of speaking and putting yourself out there?
So this was the same question I asked last year, this is the last question I think. And it was sitting right back there, and these beautiful young ladies here, both of them, they answered my question, but, dealing with speech impediment and hearing disability, that really made me shy away from wanting to be in front of any crowd. I did good at church, I would sing because it was like a small church, nobody's gonna hear me, we in the country, they not gonna hear me out there. But when it came to having to get up in front of people, that was very hard. But I had to realize, in order to be a change, you gotta be the change yourself. If that's my motto, then I'm gonna have to step out and do it. And when you pray about it, and you're intentional about it, and you just go, and you just open your mouth, God's gonna give you the word to say, He's gonna connect you with the people that you need to help you, like all of these people that I learned more from them, I'm still writing, but He's gonna put you in the places where you can connect, and you'll have a voice. The voice might seem small when you start, but hopefully this time next year, you'll be like where I'm at, you'll be up and talking to my people, and it'll all fall in place for you. So my advice to you is start small. Get on, do it on Facebook Live or something. Get your little small group, make it private, and then you feel more confident, go big with it. So you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta challenge yourself. You start with you.
Right off what she said is, what change did you make when you started writing? Were you scared to start putting stuff on paper? And if it's in you to do it, do it. And I'm not a big talker in crowds myself. But what's not in everything, and being ambivalent in everything we do, when we talk about change, we're gonna have some uncertainties and stuff, and those things that frighten us. But that's the thing, if you go out and you do it, you'll be amazed. Just start out talking to yourself in the mirror. Just saying some things, before you go up, go talking to the mirror, talk to yourself in the mirror, or something like that. But that's one of my biggest things too, is, and I don't know why, just from hearing her, give response. But just do it. If it's in you to do it, just do it.
So this does not come from me, this comes from my beautiful wife that they've already referenced, but so Liz is a great singer, she's an incredible singer, but there was a point in her life where when she was kind of starting out, she would be like, I'm pitchy, or I'm this, or I'm that, and she didn't want to kind of put herself in situations where attention would be drawn to her. I don't remember, she saw this conference right? This worship conference, and she was like, I want to go to that. I'm like, well, go do it. I think it was like the day before or something. She was trying to put the brakes on, like, I don't want to do it. I don't know, really unsure. I don't know if I'm good enough. What if I screw up? And here's the thing. She got to the conference, and there were moments where it was really tough. She cried at certain points. She had these just powerful moments followed by very painful moments. But the thing that I so admire about my wife is she pushed through the pain and didn't give up. And what wound up happening is she grew and she grew and she grew. And now, I mean, she'll be worshiping in front of 1,000 women. It's no big deal. But she didn't start there, like you were saying, right? But man, sometimes if you're gonna put yourself out there, you're gonna be put in uncomfortable situations that'll hurt you, that'll challenge you. The first short film I put out on YouTube, somebody was mean comment, and they're like, did I offend you? Like, I don't even know you. So you're gonna get hurt. But the thing is like God is bigger than any pain you're gonna experience. God is stronger, and He cares more about you, and you can make it through. There's tough moments, and on the other side, you're gonna be better for it. So when you experience tough moments because you put yourself out there, be like my wife, push anyway, go anyway, do the hard thing, and my gosh, on the other side, you will not be the same person. So.
Hello, I have 2 questions. So my first question is, so when I want to grow up, I want to be a film writer and director. And I'm curious about how do y'all as authors build y'all's story, the characters, the world, and y'all go into depth as y'all try to make the character development over time.
So for me, like I said, I start in the end. So if it's 2 characters and I want them to fall in love, if I'm talking about the male, I talk about what he desires, what he wants out in life. I'm just, you won't right, but, I talk about, him, what he desires, what he wants, his kind of where he came from. That might make it hard for him to, like he came from a single parent home, but he desires love, he desires a relationship. Now we come to the woman, her situation. She might be in another city, she just got out of a bad relationship, she moves. You see how I'm building the story, and she goes to this job. So now I have 2 characters, I have their makeups, about them, how they're gonna connect, that part, and then the surrounding factors around it. There's a friend that encourages, that has her ear. There's him, he just started at a new church and he's linking with his pastors. And so, character development first, surrounding characters, place, desired outcome. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that we character develop throughout our lives. Romy is a part of me and a part of my friends, but we character develops throughout our lives. What she just explained, probably people that you meet. Yeah. Everybody that you meet in your life is going to impact you one way or another. And it's how you take that impact and you look back on it in years and you start writing and you remember, who's a friend of yours?
A friend of mine?
Just name a name. Manny. You remember Manny. And you remember something silly that Manny did, something y'all did together, or something like that. You just started writing and developed those characters. And you bring Manny along with somebody you meet, maybe 15 years down the road, and you put those people together, even though they never met before, but something similar. You're able to create that story, you're able to create characters out of those people that you meet in life.
So what I love what they're saying, if you're familiar with Lord of the Rings, that man, that author, I mean, he had a book of character development, a book of location development. I mean, it was just, they actually published it, and it just had tons of backstory that never made it into the books, never made it in there, but he knew. If you ask him a question, well, why would that character do this? So that the first answer is ask questions about everybody that's in your movie or your book or whatever. Why would they do that? Why would they feel like, with the thing that I'm writing now about my dad, I know why this young lady that goes through her journey, why she would behave in this way, because she has a hole. She's missing something, missing that connection. So then why would she do this? Why would she do that? It's questions, always asking those questions. I will give you one thing that a friend of mine gave me. He's not a writer necessarily, but the few things that I've seen him write are strong and really good, and I wish he was a writer because he needs to get his stuff out there. But he told me, and I thought this was great because I sent him a few things I did, and he's like, I liked it. He said, but everything you've done is linear. It's like, why do you do that? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, well, it's this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then the conclusion. He said, what if you started at the end, and you're like, what is happening right now? I don't even know what, and then boom, you jump to the beginning, and now you jump to over here, and you jump to over here, and then by the end, when you come back to that ending, you're like, oh, that happened over here, that happened. And you see it all the time in movies. They'll start near the end or at the end, and then they'll jump back in time, they'll jump all over the place. So ask questions, and don't necessarily, you can write it in the order, but when you go to put it on the page finally, maybe it shouldn't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it should be 5, 1, 2, 3. You see what I'm saying?
I just had 2 quick questions. My first question was specifically to Miss Crystal and Miss Michelle. I was trying to find. I know for both of your books, you talk about the seasons you've both gone through and sharing that with your audiences. Have you ever regretted adding anything to your book, maybe too much of yourself, or specific type of publicity that may have came from your book, and overcoming that, if you have had that experience?
I have, for example, Beautiful Becoming Her book, I think I kind of went too deep in there, because I'm like, what if they, I don't want to just, because, sometimes we throw something out and then they be feeling like they going through it, so I'm like, let me just erase that, and then I put something in there, but then, also my books, I ask questions to give them that space to write in if they are, so.
I would say for myself, I had to pray about it a lot too, because I went back and forth on should I share this or should I not, but God's final word was, if not now, when. And what I was going through, I didn't know if I was going to be able to see another day, so I put it out there and I just said, whoever is born, they gonna receive it, and if they don't, they can just throw it to the side. So yes, I wanted to be transparent in my story. I told as much as I possibly could.
I just have one more. Sorry, this one is Mr. Lynn specifically, I know you're a playwright. Have you ever, or let me rephrase that. How do you find thoughts or brainstorming ideas in a dead space or a waiting period after you've already came out with a play? I think, just quickly added to that, I only have one, it's in the Google Drive. but I personally didn't want to take characters or a story I already did, and because I'm in the waiting season or the dead space after writing that or after coming out with it, and I'm trying to write again and brainstorm, accidentally repeating myself or repeating the story without thinking about it. I call it Hallmark movie. Like a Hallmark movie, they always come back. They have a different love story, But how do you overcome that dead space or that waiting season or that between time with your plays?
Man, that is. My wife would probably be like, he doesn't, because in a way that's very true. Like it's hard to say without being too personal. So let's be real with you. My emotional trauma or damage or whatever you want to call it is when I get challenged and it looks like it's going to flames, like it's just not working. I just quit. I have quit so many more times than I have succeeded. And what I have learned from quitting that many times is I had 300 probably great ideas that died on the writing table because I refused to write, because I was in that lull space and I'm like, I don't want to screw it up, and I just can't do it. I'm just I turned it into that Eeyore character. Oh no, And man, I don't want to be that guy. And I don't think you want to be that person. So I think just when you get stuck, write it anyway. You don't have to use it. You might take a piece of it and it turned into something over here. Just jot it down, write it anyway. And if you're like, man, I repeated the same doggone, it's like, well, so what? Because you might have 2 good ideas that turned into a whole new story over here. I wish to God I had done that with the stuff that I just quit on. Again, y'all are inspiring me, like, keep going. So that would be my advice. When you find yourself in a loop, so what? Children of Israel marched around the desert for 40 years. So what? You got 40 years, let it go.
First of all, I would just like to say I think we're triplets because I'm doing Iron and Future right now. So I know what y'all going through. I like to congratulate everybody up here as an author, as a writer. It was something that you said about what sparked your interest, how do you know what to write and so forth. For me, it's like having many faces. Like I started doing some acting as well. So you got to do the mean look, you got to do the emotional, you got to do so many, emotions that you're going through. Same thing with writing. Like when I wrote my children's book, The Wicked Witch. Well, I took myself out of my head. It helps me to relax. And it puts me back in a child's space. Like, I don't have to worry about bills right now. I'm not worried about any of that. I'm going back to a child. I can be free. I can just get away. So I put myself in that spot doing the children's book. Then when I was doing my AI book, hey, I want to be rich. So I'm going to put myself in this rich, space. So like, okay, I want to go here, I want to go to Paris, I want to go here, I want to be able to spend this kind of money. But at the same time, I want to motivate people and I want to help others. So it's like different emotions. So you have to turn yourself on when you're doing the children's book, and then you've got to turn yourself off from that, and you want to do an AI book. Now I've written my autobiography about myself, so now we're talking about from start to finish, from when I was little to grown up. So I get it, it's just different emotions. You got to turn yourself on, turn yourself off, but you got to, like you said, you got to make it spark the reader's interest. So kudos to you guys, because I know it's hard, but you're like, what do I write next? And then you just go, you just write it. You just keep writing. So I encourage everybody that's trying to write, just keep going. Like they say, keep going.
We have 2 more in the back and then we're gonna move on.
When you're trying to publish your book, what's the best path to take? Should you publish independently, try to find a traditional publisher, or work with a publishing company that offers different publishing packages? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of each?
It depends on your abilities, I've done ghostwriting for people because the young lady could not spell a lot. And literally part of her plan was she got a hotel and we would sit in that hotel and she would just talk and I would type and I would transcribe. Once that process was over, I just gave it to her. And then she contacted me back about a month later. She was like, no, I need you to help me self-publish. So it just depends on the level of where you are. At this day and age, there are so many self-publishing publishers, me being one of them. The plus side to using a self-publisher is 100% of the royalties go to you, minus the company that does the printing. So that's when you hear people, oh, I did on Amazon and this and the third. Amazon is the printer and distributor, okay? The self-publishing part is the person that you pay to help you format, edit, make sure everything is approvable to Amazon. So that's just an example. You can write out, some people are just good at writing out their manuscript, and they got the editing part, they use Grammarly and all those kind of things. They just need to know how to upload it to Amazon KDP or whatever source they're using. So, if that's you, YouTube. Everybody is so many options. But if you are someone who needs more development, and you want to get a broader reach, go for the publishing houses. But be prepared that there may be ideas, so the downfall to that is that they may shift some of your story, okay, to reach the audiences in which they have seen success or the books that they like to put out. So your story may not be your own. So that's the plus side to self-publishing. It's your story. You get to put it out there how you want it to. Did I answer everything for you?
You did.
Okay.
All right, last question.
I have two. The first one is for Lance. With Georgia being the movie, expanding the movie industry like they are, have you had any opportunities to get out or to expand out your videos through the movie industry?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't, and the reason why is what we're doing in this room. Lack of networking. I have longed to network with more people, but a short time ago, I say a short time ago, this was several years, but I met with this guy named Tommy, and Tommy has been my go-to guy. He, like this networking session, he has absolutely just helped me grow. But that is something that I long for. Most of everything I've done is either through our church or through our business. My wife and I had a small business on the side. We did commercial work and different things like that. But that is something, because I've watched it like you have. You see all these big, and you're like, wow. My only thought, my only challenge on any of it is if I ever get that opportunity to get connected, kind of like self-publishing, I want creative control. I don't want somebody to take my story and be like, this would be great if you left the God part out. It's like, well, if I leave the God part out, then you just gutted it. So I'm not cool with that. And I won't do it. If it comes between that and just publishing it on YouTube, I'll publish it on YouTube. You know what I mean? And so that's my one thing is I want to get connected with those people. That'd be amazing. But not at the cost of my soul. If that makes sense.
For Michelle, you are an illustrator, is that correct? So if I was writing a children's book and I wanted you to do the illustration part, how would you go about that?
So when I did my book, I have a children's CPR book, and I use a lot of AI So what I did is you have to create your prompt and tell it exactly how you want it. But sometimes you can get in a fight with ChatGPT, trying to change the basic pictures and everything. So you gotta have time and patience. You gotta be straightforward with your prompt. It's something that you gotta sit down with. Sometimes I have to write it out how I really want it and speak it like that. And so when I created my first book, I created my character first. I already knew what I wanted her to do. Her purpose was to help children to identify what CPR was and why it's important. And I turned it into a coloring book. So I had my character form into different types of, figures, molds, and everything for each page on there. And so I put it out there. I was kind of doubtful about it a little bit, but I had a mom reach out and she was like, I already have my character. Can you help me? So what I'm having to do now is create more prompts, go back to her character and tell the character what to do. Like, you gotta speak to everything that you're doing in the book when you're doing your illustration. Before in the past, I have done some illustration before AI was out, but it was hard. It was Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of more advanced now. So what I try to do is help other individuals learn how to do it, because I'm not a gatekeeper. I can help you learn it. So definitely teaching you how to do it. So you can do it yourself. That's what you know taught me. Like, the thing that I was like being an editor, she like, don't call me no more editor. You got it.
I didn't say that.
So I use AI to help me develop my characters, and then I just kind of go from there, with what, like I said, you gotta write it out and be able to speak those prompts to those AI things, that way they can help you.
Can you tell me the top AI, like medium when you say AI?
So the one I'm working with is ChatGPT, and then they have Gemini, I think it is. I like Gemini a little more, but ChatGPT is kind of on the slower side. But sometimes I'll play between both of them and to see which one I like the best. But I always make sure that you tell it, do not change my facial features, because it will look like somebody else.
Exactly. Not change your facial features. Okay, so, like she said, ChatGPT, if you do the paid subscription, like I think it's like $2.99, it gives you more. Gemini also does video production, so you can create the character and then give it the prompts to talk. It'll create. You got Midjourney, CapCut, Canva. Canva does pictures, so if you're doing like a cartoon series and you want to do it on YouTube, Canva will walk you through like how to make a fish float through the screen. Canva now has integrated with ChatGPT. That's another good one, and you can generate like in Canva. You could do that with Canva. Now, if I can think of any more, I'll let you know. Excuse me, DID, so D-ID. If you upload your picture, you can create, or you can, if you upload a picture of your character, you upload a script, you can tell it the voice, how you want it to talk, and it will do up to 6 minutes. So it can actually make a picture talk and have an expression.
Y'all need to do some classes on showing people how to do illustration, because I am at level 0 with that. So, and I would love to learn, and I would definitely attend to up my repertoire. All right, last question, and then we have to get out of here. We're over our time a little bit, so I'm gonna ask our guest panelists one last question, and I'm gonna ask you to try to answer it in a minute or less. Okay. Or you can get an extra 15 seconds, but that's about it. All right. So, Miss Michelle, why is it? It's funny you said what you just said. Why is it important to have an editor to proofread your book?
We definitely want to have an extra set of eyes just in case, because even AI can make a mistake. So having human eyes
Miss Crystal, how can we sell ourselves and our work to our audience in the marketplace? We may have to answer this one. What can we do to get ourselves out there because the competition is growing?
What I use, I'm big on QR codes. If I'm walking out in the mall somewhere and I overhear somebody like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and I know I got them scanning these because they're right on their phone, and so I might even leave it in your comment if I'm trying to promote and market myself on Facebook. I go live and say this, I drop the link or anywhere I am, drop links, QR codes, word of mouth, printing it out, might be on a t-shirt, might be on a card. Okay? Advertise wherever you go.
If you're on vacation somewhere, I don't know if you're familiar with your phone, the iPhone, you can airdrop your business.
Just walk by somebody, airdrop your email.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lance, would you suggest as a writer and an author and a videographer and a producer that writers and authors advertise their content via video and commercials to create more of a personal connection? If so, why?
Yeah, I mean, Liz and I had this talk, but film is the story of our time. I mean, everybody in this room looks at video. Everybody. Whether it's on social media, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you look at it, you might watch Netflix, but you all watch it. So the question then becomes, well, why should I do it? And I think it's more about putting your face out there, putting your authentic story, who you are, before eyeballs, showing people and teasing it, kind of like you were talking about on TikTok where that person's like a little bit, oh, book drop. That's brilliant. I mean, so yeah, I'm not great with social media, Liz is, but absolutely, you should put yourself on video and be you. Don't compromise who you are. Don't try to put on some kind of fake, just be you. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Artist, tell us again, how can a person get started with putting their thoughts down on paper? It's easier said than done sometimes when you don't know how or where to begin. So they have people have a desire and a passion, but are simply lost.
All I can say on that is just start. I started, just like I said, to clear the cobwebs out of my head. Put down what was going on in my life, what was going on in people's lives. How can I help this individual? I can't solve the problem for them, but what can I say to them to get them through this day, to get them through this moment? Use your life to start to accomplish what you want someone else to be healed from. Put it on paper so you can see it, and you can be it, and you can educate someone else. But when you write it down, 5 months down the road, you can look back, because I got lost for a minute. I wrote down my goals and stuff and what I wanted to do, and I would write them down, and life happens. Go off into the ministry, picked it up one day, it's like, man, this is why I'm supposed to be. Got my education, went back to school, you name it, and started finishing, and dealing with those things. So I think just do it, man. Just start writing. Maybe gibberish at first, but it really will come out at some point. Because life be life.
Sure does. All right, let me plug my little 1 minute in. I agree with sometimes the just start off as gibberish, So when I think of when we talk about how we want to write, but we don't know where to get started, it seems like our mind is just cluttered. It's a lot of clutter. And you want to write, you have some thoughts, but you don't know how to put them down on paper. A lot of people say, I don't know where to begin, I don't know where to begin. If your brain feels foggy and you don't know how, or you feel like, well, I'm at a loss, I don't know what, write that. Just say, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to write. this is so frustrating to me. Like anything come here, this is so frustrating to me. You know, I can't find a room where there's quiet. It's too noisy in here. Like you're actually writing your thoughts. And after a while, you get used to writing those thoughts. And then when it becomes more clear, you can actually write your thoughts that's gonna go in your book. Just write what you're feeling. So frustrated, you know. I wanted to have my orange juice when I write, and I didn't have it. You know, like any little thing. I stumped my toe, the dog was barking, and I don't have enough quiet time. Write it down, because you're getting the goal is to get your, it's like you're giving yourself there. The goal is to get your thoughts on paper. No matter whatever is up there, get it down. Because you're saying, I'm at a loss for words. Not really, you know, because if you write down that little chaotic, cloudy moment, it's those still thoughts. You know, you think, but you're decluttering, you know, and you just get it out. Just write whatever comes out, write it down. All right. I got a plethora of time. All right, I got a plethora of time. Okay, so last question, Ms. Asha. As a publisher and a content creator, why is it important to effectively communicate with your client and build a relationship with them before helping or working with them?
Okay, so as I was telling her, like when I'm editing or working with the author, I choose not to read other books because it begins to influence my writing style and the way I'm viewing things. So it's important for me to actually have a relationship, in a sense, like with my client, so that I can understand their background. So there's things that I would question, be like, girl, what are you talking about? But it's because her background is how she got there. Most of the time that comes out through the development, the author development. But it's very, very important that I understand what they are trying to convey, how they got to where they're trying to go to or where they're going to. And also, every person that I meet with, every person that comes to me wanting me to publish, I don't do it. So I have turned people down as well, especially if I felt like I couldn't convey their story or was something that just personally my brand does not represent. So that's why. And also communication cuts down miscommunication. Oh, that's good. Communication cuts down miscommunication. So if at any question you have, communicate so it won't be any misunderstanding.
All right, and that concludes our questions for our guest panelists. Let's give them a hand. All right, we're going to now, we have some of our panelists have some books that they have written and published, and we are going to give away some books, okay? So I wrote your names down, you're not cheating. The first name is Sabrina McBride here. I put all the names in the people that page, I'm sorry. All right, let's see. Miss Pamela Golden. Oh, I forgot that. I'm sorry. Let me back up. Okay, so I meant to go down the road. So we're pulling by. We're going down the road. So the first book was Mr. Artist. If you would raise your book up and tell us about your book. You are the first one to know. You raise your book up. Tell us about it.
Well, Becoming Me is me from high school to going to military and life changing. Like I said, I had a close relative of mine, more like a sister. She was a cousin, but she was more like a sister. Get killed in high school, our senior year. So I joined the military, chasing death, running from life, and got shot in my eye in the military, and God just told me tripped around. So got out of the military looking for a place to go. Wasn't getting hired by the marshals, couldn't get hired by state patrol. corrections, whatnot. Somebody called someone, they do somebody correct, say, hey, give a kid a chance. And I got called by a guy named Artemis Golden, and he sat me down and talked to me. He was a colonel in the army, he was a retired colonel, and he's like, hey, somebody told me to give you a chance. I told him, I'm not gonna let you down, and I'm not gonna let myself down. And then my battles with different things, from pornography to everything, to marriage, to everything. And I just let it go, like you said. If you want to put some things in it, put it in there, because we all heard from different things in life. And becoming me is knowing who God has already told me who I am. You know, not what the social factors around me tell me who I am, or what the world tell me, but who God has told me. And then, and it has at the end, it has a prayer. And you talk about the kids, the wife, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. Miss, you may go get your book. All right. And don't leave, we'll take a picture of you with your prize. And after we finish. All right, Miss Asha, hold your book up. So put it for the next one. Tell us a brief description.
All right, so me and my husband and I are a blended family, and like I said, as we talked about marriage, and we talked about generational curses and all these things, and just trying to connect and be kind of, we were reading scriptures, and it was kind of talking about family. And I was like, ooh, we don't do too good the job of that, you know. It's like we'll hear about a family member through a family member through a family member, and what I come to find out is like many of the things that travel about our family member are the negative things first. And then, so short, brief snippet, one of the things is like I have an aunt who has had a few like marriage failures. And then I have a cousin, like further down, that has relationship issues, marriages and stuff like that. But the connotation towards the cousin was like trash. But nobody talking about the auntie. So it's like somewhere in there, you know. So healing my family tree, we came up with this, and it was like an activity that we did where people could write down the names of the people in their family. Now, the first thing you do, well, you know such and such, she got 3 kids. Instead of doing that, write a scripture underneath their name to speak a blessing. And every time you look at that family tree, you're quoting that instead of what the enemy has said about them. And so from that point, it talks about healing your family tree, and it talks about even when you can't communicate with that family, even if you attempted to, how to have those difficult conversations, the power of reconciliation. What does love really look like? So that's what healing, and then it's a few pages, because some of us, we got like, you know, in some areas it's like 3 aunties with 1 uncle, you know.
Okay.
Okay. So it's a few pages if you will work out your family tree. Let's go.
Miss Shandice Mango. All right, Miss Michelle, if you could briefly give us a quick description.
My book is Girl Talks It Out Loud, that he has all the answers. It's simply a book to encourage whoever the winner is to don't be ashamed to talk to God. I know people have pulled up God here to red light and like, who in the world is she talking to? I'm probably having a conversation with God. It depends on how my day was. But I journal about those moments. I was not ashamed in those moments that I journal, and they're all in there. I mean, it's anything from grief, having a good time, you know, different things that I've been through in life. I was not ashamed to take those things to God. Even my angry moments, God has all the answers. I don't care what best friend you have, even your mother, your father, sometimes you still got to talk to God about it. So on the front of it, you can see a picture of myself just journaling. I like to journal anywhere. It can be outside, it gotta be quiet, but I can journal anywhere pretty much. Sometimes I'm in the grocery store and I gotta pull So whoever gets the book, God bless you. I did sign in front of it, and that's it.
All right, thank you. All right. Miss, Angelia? Okay, that's your, okay. Mom, you heard her. Miss Whitney Edwards, is she here? No? Okay. I'm sorry. Miss Yolanda Kendrick. All right. Now Miss Krista has a free giveaway that she wants.
So what I'm giving away is a chance to publish your own book. If you want to talk it out while I write it, we can do it that way. Or if you already got it, we can go through the designing your cover page, author page, dedication page, back page, copyright page, illustration, editing, revising, pictures, putting it out there, and QR codes. Like I said, I'm big on QR codes, and it's free. It's yours.
All right, is Miss Talandra Cotton here? Okay, Cotton. All right. Alexis Tyson.
My sister and I've been telling her, like, when you gonna put your book out about your makeup? She do makeup, y'all, but when you gonna
I don't have any books. She was asking if we could do like because my wife and I had a small commercial business, if we would do like a 50% off for a commercial or something, which that'd be fun. That'd be fun to do. So no pressure.
Miss Dia Ortiz. Okay, so this is a prayer, a 30-day prayer walk with God. So it's different types of prayers and, you know, highs and lows, whatever you're going through, that you may find a prayer that will suit you. And so that is going to Miss Pamela. Jamarian Smith. All right, and last one is a children's prayer book. When I did the 30-day prayer walk with God, I said, hey, children need to learn how to pray too. So I did a children's prayer book that is teaching children different types of prayers. Miss Tara Hill. That's why we need an illustration class to upgrade, you know, some illustrations. But I want to grow. This is all about growing, right? All right, so that concludes our gifts. That concludes our Writers Conference. We enjoyed you all. Give yourself a hand. Give our panelists a hand. And thank you so much for coming. We look forward to the 3rd Annual Regional Writers Conference. And thank you so much again for coming. Please, let's thank my husband, Benji Noble. Turn around, Benji Noble. Yes, he was a great help. I want to get a group picture, if y'all don't mind, before you ease out of here. You had something to say? So if y'all could work your way up here before y'all ease out, let's get this picture, and thank you all, and we will see you next year.